$50,000 buy-in PLO mystery bounty final tables. Every time you eliminate a player, you are given an envelope that has some dollar amount in it. The smallest one has 50,000, the biggest has 400,000. What does that mean for a tournament like this? It means it's gonna be absolute chaos at this final table because $100,000 is equivalent or larger than some of these pay jumps. So it is very important to try to knock out players. It's gonna be a psychotic final table. Expect to see some crazy fireworks, chips flying everywhere. I come in as one of those middle stacks on the higher end of that, but that's nice because I get to cover a lot of the shorter stacks, great opportunities to secure some knockouts, and I'm not so afraid of the big stacks. I can just run my chips with pretty good win percentage or equity in the pot and potentially have a huge chip lead. So I'm not as afraid as the big stacks as I usually would, and I'm really kind of licking my chops trying to get some of those shorter stacks all in so I can secure that $100,000 bounty. So here, Stevie Chidwick has a great hand to limp on the button. He doesn't want to build a huge pot versus a 3-bet. Matias, another good hand in the small blind just to call, and Jason Junk in the big blind. Let's see a 3-way limp flop.
Dominating that rundown, and well, I'll tell you what.
Both Matias and Stevie flop pretty big straight draws on this flop. Matias is much more nutted than Stevie, so his is quite a bit stronger. And that's why you see Stevie check back here. He doesn't make the nuts very often, so in a bloated pot, he's just gonna have the second best hand too much. Good check, let's see a turn.
Yeah, I like the check. Jack of spades on the turn.
Now both Stevie and Matias make straights on the turn, but Matias is obviously stronger. When it checks to Stevie, he decides to bet, and I think this is a very good decision for two reasons. One, he doesn't have a spade in his hand, so he wants to get value from hands like 2-pair plus flush draw, or even just 1-pair plus flush draw, or straight draw plus flush draw. So all those hands are live. And he also has a hand that's quite easy to bet fold because it never becomes the nuts on the river. So if he gets check raised, he can be pretty confident that he's drawing dead and just fold his hand.
A great game of pot limit Omaha.
Absolutely massive hand that kind of personifies what PLO knockout tournaments are all about. Quick heads up, guys, there's $5,000 up for grabs in my Bankroll Builder Leaderboard Challenge for the month of August. And that's not all. If you play at least one real money hand of poker, you will be set into the mystery prize draw, where we're gonna pick 15 players that are gonna get roughly $2,000 in prizes. So the exact mechanics of that mystery prize draw are gonna be announced in the next couple days. So go check it out. Use promo code Seth to sign up on Coin Poker. Get in that draw. Good luck. It starts off with David Wang putting in a pot size open. He only has about 15, 16 big blinds, so pocket kings, totally good enough for that. And you see Jason Kuhn flat the button with a pretty weak looking hand, and the reason is that bounty is out there, that $100,000 bounty. He's trying to go get that. And it gets to Cesar Garcia in the small blind, and he sees a very strong hand, an ace, king, king type hand. And he says something that's very clever and very cagey here. He decides to go ahead and re-raise, which is great, but he makes it a size where instead of going full pot, he chooses a size that if it gets back to David, David can re-raise again, reopen the action, and now Cesar can potentially put Jason all in, make Jason play for his whole stack, where as if he had potted it, the raise would not be legal, it would not be reopened, and only David's 675,000 would be the total raise, rather than threatening a whole stack. So very clever play from Garcia here.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, interesting detail that Garcia paid attention to there. Only relevant, really, if Artur enters the pot.
We see Artur Martirosyan cold call a decent, not great hand. I think this is a little too loose, and that could be wrong. Like, I'm not saying he made a bad play. I would have made this play differently, but this format is just so crazy. It's hard to be that bad, right? But if I was in Artur's shoes, I would want something a little bit, I don't want a pocket pair at this point, right? Like, it's very likely that Cesar is gonna have king, king, ace, ace, some very strong double suited Broadway type hand. So I don't think Jack, Jack, 9-8 plays that well. I'd much rather have Jack 10, 9-8, something that can flop more equity across more flops, and I would just let this one go. But he does decide to call, and we got the makings of a big pot putting together here. So the action does play out where David does put the last of his money in because he can force out at least one other player. And then Garcia puts his money in. Artur is now facing the decision for basically the chip lead at this point. It is the chip lead, it's just a massive pot. There's all these bounties out there. And at this point, I guess he is just gonna stack off his hand, which is fine. You know, I'm not saying this is a bad play, but like this is kind of the nature of this type of tournament. I would have liked a different class of hand, but here we go, massive pot. Let's see who wins.
This is for the chip lead.
Easy, boys.
flops the wrap. Any jack 9, 8, 6. Get it done. Wang's looking for a 4. Garcia's looking for a 3 or an ace. There it is.
Huge.
Diamonds on the river gives Artur the jack high straight, and that will be it for Garcia and Wang. Artur secures 2 bounties. That's $200,000 in equity in the bounty pool. And now he has 5.4 million. He's totally in the driver's seat and he's ready to do some damage. So here we go. My first action of the final table, we see a limp check pot blind on blind versus the chip leader. On the flop, I just have an easy call. You know, it's not the type of hand I want to start raising and building a big pot with when there's a flush out there. So let's see a turn. And then I turn the 3 pair. You know, not that much has changed at this point. I think it's a very easy hand to check back for a couple reasons. One, it's not strong enough to go for 2 streets of value at this point. If I do bet the turn, I'm most likely just gonna have to check back the river. And 2, it's hard for him to have a hand worse than mine that I want to call me. You know, I want him to call me with hands like jack 6, jack 3, 6, 3. But when I have all those pairs, it's harder for him to have a hand. So just want to check, maybe induce a bluff on the river. So I river the nuts. Fantastic river for me. Obviously cannot be beaten. At this point, I'm just praying he somehow had a slow played flush or he's going to bluff. So fortunately for me, he does go ahead and go for a bluff. He has a pair, which is great. He blocks a full house. So he does pot it. Very easy raise for me. I have the nuts, but unfortunately for me, he had nothing that could potentially call, but a nice pickup nonetheless. And here we go.
Yeah, sometimes the best strategy is just keeping the game as simple as possible.
Yeah, you got the nuts. You say pot. That feels like a good rule of thumb.
I decided to limp the button here with ace jack 6-5 with the jack high suit. Not the type of hand I want to raise and call a 3-bet, so limping are fine. I could potentially raise and fold to a 3-bet, but I decided to limp. We see a 3-way flop. So now when the flop checks to me, it's a really good spot for me to bet for a couple reasons. One, I have the ace of hearts working for me. I can use that later as a bluffing card if hearts come through, or I can just potentially get more folds immediately. And I also have a few outs to the nuts with the gut shot. So I go ahead and bet, get a call from Matias in the big blind. He has a flush drawn pair. He's not going anywhere. So now on the turn, I'm gonna stick with my plan, use my ace of hearts blocker, try to go ahead and bet, give him a fold, maybe like a weak 2 pair or something like this. So very comfortable spot for me to bluff, potentially have some more outs if he does have a set or 2 pair with the gut shot, and I can always bluff.
I would go with 3 hearts in hand. That might be a slow down card for Seth.
So at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and give up, knuckle the table. If I want to bluff here, I want some type of pair in my hand, something that blocks his full houses and makes it more likely he has a hand like he does have. Unfortunately for me in this situation, a queen high flush is a pretty good hand for me to try to get him to fold, but my cards did not dictate this as a good river bluff for me. I'm going to choose different types of hands. So unfortunate, we lose that one, but not a huge pot. We'll keep moving on. Quick interruption, guys. Most of you guys watch these videos all the way through, but you still aren't subscribed. If you like the content and you want to see more of these videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. It really helps out the channel much more than you know. So also, if you want to see something in the future, leave it in the comments, let me know. So let's get back to the program. We see another 3-way limped pot here. I'm in the big blind with trip 8s and a 6, complete garbage hand, but we somehow find the last remaining 8 in the deck on the flop. So now my hand becomes huge. I also have the 6, which becomes an important thing later in the hand. But Artur goes ahead and leads out 3-way, and at this point, I don't really want to ever raise this spot when he's leading into me on the flop because I don't have the nuts, right? Pocket 10s beats me and the straight beats me. It's a 3-way pot. I don't want to start building a gigantic pot where it's really hard for me to get called by worse hand, especially when I have a 6, because that means it's very hard for them to have a set of 6s. So I'm gonna go ahead and call. So now on the turn 10, I make the full house, an extremely strong hand, and Artur checks to me. And I think this is one of the rare times I want to check back a full house, and I'll tell you why. When I have the 6, I really want him to have 6s full of 10s. It's like one of the primary hands I'm trying to get value from by betting big and going for 2 streets of value here. So when I have the 6, it's just very hard to do that. So I think at this point, it's very rare that I will check back a full house, but I think I kind of have just the one, or maybe a hand like 10, 8, 6. When I have those 3 cards and I kind of have all the good cards, I'll check as well. But I think this one is very good to go ahead and check back and play the river with. And the reason I want to check back a good hand every once in a while is because I also want to bluff raise the river. And if I never have a good hand, I can't bluff raise. So that's why you kind of always want to have some types of good hands in these passive lines when you get to the river. So now on the ace with the flush completing, he goes ahead and bets 80% pot. And I'm going to go ahead and raise. I'm not scared of him having a better hand for a couple reasons. One, if he has aces, he's just going to raise pre-flop. And also he's going to raise a lot of his ace 10 X combos as well. And it's just generally a spot where he's not going to expect me to put in a lot of money on the turn. So I think when he checks, his range is going to be much more capped and defined at things like straights, very bad full houses maybe. But like I said before, I have the 6. So I'm pretty comfortable. My hand is the best and he's value betting worse or bluffing. So I'm going to go ahead and raise, try to get some value.
He does have a very big hand. He's got quads, Kevin.
And 7 full houses.
Nice value raise from Seth.
And Archer does land on the correct fold, tempting as it may have been.
Average stack of 97 big blinds.
He mulls it over for a long time and eventually does lay it down, which is unfortunate, but nonetheless a great pickup for me. Down to 3 players, the stacks are distributed with me and Matias having very similar, about 50 big blind stacks, and Archer having 140 big blinds. So a lot of separation from him. What does that mean with the bounty? One, I just can't bust Archer, so I have to expect him to be very loose and me respond kind of normalish. And that's just kind of how it's going to play out a lot. Is he's going to be very wide and aggressive, and Matias and I are going to try to fight back as best we can. So I have ace, jack, jack 3 with 3 diamonds, ace high in the small blind. Pretty close. I could potentially just fold this to Archer's button open, but he will be so wide. It's a pretty good hand. I'll go ahead and call.
Ibenger's had a few spots to get involved as a covering stack when a short stack has entered, but whenever Artur's entered as he covers Ibenger, he's just been staying out of the way. He's been playing clean.
Yeah, Ibenger.
My word, how about this for a flop?
Okay.
I mean, it's nothing crazy, but open-ender against top set.
Beautiful flop for me. I flopped the nuts. I flopped top set. I have a backdoor diamond draw and a front door wheel draw to the deuce. So very good hand for me to go ahead and check raise, try to get some money in there immediately. He's going to have a lot of hands that continue around the 4 or 5 with straights, and that's exactly what he has. He has the 7-6 open ender. So I go ahead and check raise, use a pretty small size because the hands I'm trying to get him to fold are pretty terrible, right? I just wanted to get him to fold a hand like king 10, 9-8, something that has nothing. So not the time for me to just start making massive raises, but I go ahead and check raise. He does call with his open ender. Let's see a turn.
He's going to make the call. 8 or a 3 would be disaster for Seth. Could slow things down.
So now on the turn, there's 1.74 million in the pot, and I only have 2.2 left to play. What are my options? I think my main thing here is I just don't have enough money to play to really be scared of a straight at this point. Like if he has a straight, we're gonna get it all in, and hopefully I make a full house. But he has so many other things like pair plus straight draw, like he does have pair plus wrap potentially. So I want to just go ahead and put it in. He could have a worse set also. Like there are plenty of worse things that I can get called by, and the river's outside of the river that makes me a full house. Like nothing is great for me. So like I'm basically taking my equity here. Let's put the money in. It's only about pot size bet left. Hopefully I get called by something worse like pocket 5s or maybe like a 7-6-5 type hand. So put it in, but you know, he just has the paired open ender. Not going to be enough for him to stack off even with the bounty on my head, but great pickup for me. That really separates me from Matias into that second place position. Here we see a massive hand play out between the 2 other stacks, which is something that I love to see. I would love to secure another page up. So here on a blind versus blind combination, we see a limp, a raise, and a call. All good to this point. And we see a huge cooler on the flop. Matias flops jacks full of 10s. Archer flops ace and 10, the best 10 in the deck. Check, bet, raise, call. Everything good until this point, and now on the turn, Matias fires another big bet, and Archer's put to a decision. I don't think he has a decision whether or not to continue. He's always going to continue. Matias can have plenty of bluffs for sure, like a wrap straight draw. Now a flush draw comes in. He can even potentially have a worse 10, although that's a little iffy at this point. So Archer goes ahead and decides to put it in, which I wouldn't have done. I think if Matias has a worse 10, he's much more likely to play it passively at this point. So I think at this point, Archer mostly has a bluff catcher. Not entirely, but Like Matias can have like king 10 plus spades, maybe like king queen 10 something with spades, some kind of very high equity combo type of hand like this. But for the most part, I think most of the worst 10s are just going to play slower, and Matias is representing a full house. So I think Archer, with his cards, covering some of the straights. So if the turn's a queen and Matias hands like a king 9-8 with spades, Archer makes a full house when he makes a straight. And also the same is true on the ace when Matias has king queen. I think with these cards specifically with Archer, I would just call on the turn rather than shoving and trying to stack a worse hand / protect your hand. So in any case, Archer gets it in with 2 outs. He does not hit those outs. A massive swing in the dynamic of the tournament. Archer surrenders his chip lead to Matias with that great hand that he flopped and a big cooler.
Half of the chips at the table, full reversal of the distribution before that hand.
Okay, so here we see a big hand that's going to have a huge effect on who eventually wins this tournament. Hand starts off, Archer limps a very weak hand, ace 8 3 deuce on the button, but he is the covering stack. Maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. I have a near premium looking hand in the small blind with ace king queen with the suit, so I'm going to go ahead and raise it up. Matias has one of these middling kind of rundown hands that are very good to call in the middle. So we go 3 ways, they both call, and we get this 10-4 deuce flop. Nobody really hits it all that much, and that's why you see us check it around. But the turn is one of the most action-packed cards we could have asked for. I flopped the Broadway wrap with 1 diamond in my hand. Matias turns top 2 pair, and Archer now has a nut flush draw and a wheel draw. So how do we go from here? I don't think I should be the one to bet at this point because it's just way too likely there's at least 1 flush draw out there. I'm hoping to check and maybe see this thing check through. That would be pretty nice for me, or potentially call a bet. So I do check. Matias bets half pot, fine size. He's betting 2 pair. We see Archer call really quick. I think at this point, I simply have so many outs that I can just take my pot odds and call and try to make an offsuit Broadway straight. So I decide to call as well. We go 3 ways to the river.
9 or a deuce would also do it. 2 million in the middle. This is one of the biggest pots of 3-handed play. These multi-ways is the 4 of diamonds, giving Artur the nut flush.
So the river pairs the 4 and completes the flush, and we immediately, I'm just done with the hand. I was just trying to take my price and draw out on whatever I could. So I'm out. I check. Matias, he does something very clever and decides to turn his hand into a bluff. So his hand was value betting on turn, that's very clear, but now he gets probably the worst possible card in the deck for him on the river. The flush completes, and now if Archer did have a hand like queens, kings, or aces, he probably doesn't have aces, but maybe queens or kings, he now has counterfeited Matias's 2 pair. So Matias decides to take his hand and use it as a bluff because he has great removal towards full houses that Archer might have, the pocket jacks and the pocket 10s, or maybe even 10-4 suited somehow. I mean, he has ace 8 3 deuce, so sure, jack 4 suited somehow. So very cool play by Matias. He does go ahead and bets big 3 ways. Archer doesn't really think all that much. He just kind of calls, which, I mean, he has a bluff catcher. Maybe he should have thought a little bit more, but sure, he was right. He called. I'm out of there. Matias has to show the bluff. Huge swing in Archer's favor. He's now back in the driver's seat, looking to close this thing out. Quick heads up, guys. There's $5,000 up for grabs in my Bankroll Builder Leaderboard Challenge for the month of August. And that's not all. If you play at least 1 real money hand of poker, you will be set into the mystery prize draw, where we're going to pick 15 players that are going to get roughly $2,000 in prizes. So the exact mechanics of that mystery prize draw are going to be announced in the next couple days. So go check it out. Use promo code Seth to sign up on Coin Poker. Get in that draw. Good luck. To start this hand, I'm in a distant 3rd place. I have about 1.8 million. Matias has close to 5 in the small blind, and Archer has close to 8 on the button. So Archer raises again. We've seen him be very loose, as he should be. I pick up ace jack 9-6 double suited in the small blind. I only have 22.5 big blinds left. This is very clearly a strong enough hand for me to 3-bet, try to get all my chips in. Again, Archer's playing nearly any 4 cards, so I'm gonna take it up, try to get some value, probably get my chips in on most flops. So here we go.
Here we go, chance for Seth. Get his way back into this one. If he can double up here, he'll be up to 4 million. All of his side cards are live as well.
Oh boy.
yeah, it goes in. I mean, it's coordinated enough. Backdoor nut flush draw, open ender, SPR 0.5.
So our turn calls and we see the 10-8-3 flop with 1 diamond. I have less than half pot to play. This is going to be enough of a flop for me to go ahead and put in the last little bit here. I have an open ender. I have a backdoor flush draw. I have 2 overcards. Not very much money to play, and he's going to be chasing my bounty. I can potentially even get called by worse hands that I'm a favorite against. Maybe like a king, jack, 9, 5 or something like that. So I go ahead and put it in. He calls, and you can see on the graphic there, we're exact 50-50 to stay in this tournament and keep our Triton trophy hopes alive.
It's actually not that bad for Seth, all things considered. Like versus Snap. Oh, let's see who's the best at card calling. They're going to be Shark Davies. 8 would also do it. It's Ace Jack kicker would play. Doesn't matter.
Out of 4.
Wow.
All right.
None of those.
GG guys, you get number 23.
So I can't find a way to make either a straight or a running 2 pair, or even just one better pair. That is it for me. I bust in 3rd place. Great run, great tournament, a completely wild final table, as you'd expect from this format. Just chips flying everywhere. PLO, it's just how it goes. So very happy to exit in 3rd place. I cashed for $226,000 plus 2 bounties. So each of those bounties are worth about $100,000 each. So that will be a $426,000 payday for me. No trophy for me, unfortunately, on this one, but I'll take it. And if you guys are looking to play some poker yourselves, go head over to Coin Poker. They're offering all types of games. Use promo code Seth to sign up. We're giving away a bunch of bonuses. Get over to Coin Poker. See you guys there.